I couldn't get away with just being smart. Like, there were literally terms I needed to memorize. There were names I needed to know. There were research information that I had to cite. And I didn't know any of that. And I'd been up all night. I'd drank gallons of coffee trying to consume everything. And I had a final at 8 in the morning. Now, I was a freshman because nobody else takes 8 a.m. morning classes. So I was a freshman. And that's the last time I took an 8 in the morning class. But 5 in the morning, I had the shakes. When you drink coffee all night, like your body is so wired, but your mind is shut down. So I called her up, and I was in tears. And I told her, I'm gonna fail. And that was the first time I've ever failed. I had gotten by so easily and so smoothly up until that point. And honestly, I never put myself in a situation where I could fail. I quit sports before I could get to the point where I wasn't going to be that good. I only talked to the boys that I knew liked me. I only took the jobs that I knew I could excel at. I only did things that I knew I could do well. And I never ever stretched myself. I realized that, yes, I had played small. Yes, I never put myself out there. Yes, I never really got to that point where, you have that inner anguish and that fear and that frustration. But I also never really grew. I never really grew. And having that experience taught me a lot. And it taught me, number one, to not fear failure. To just go for it. Because if we don't go for it, we're not going to stretch, we're not going to grow, we're not going to expand, we're not going to learn anything new. Because anything that you're good at, it's because you already know it. What defines you is what you do next. It's what you do next. After that failure, I changed a lot in my life. And I started to take more risks. And throughout my life, I've had lots and lots of successes, and I've had lots and lots of failures. And I've always said yes before I knew how I was going to figure it out. And that's one of the things that's really allowed me to just live a rich, full life. I say yes before I figured out, whereas before I wanted to make sure I knew, how the dots were going to connect. So they quit, and they say it's too hard. So let me ask you, how many of you can walk? How many of you ever watched a baby walk or learn to walk?
Yes.
Okay. How many have watched a baby learn to walk and fall? Okay. At what point do they fall and say, that's it, I quit, I guess I'm never going to be a walker? Do they ever do that? No, that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. They would never do that. Why? Because that would never get them to their goal. Now, what is that voice that makes you quit, that says it's too hard? That's that internal, we were just talking about that, that's that internal voice of judgment. A baby doesn't have that. A baby doesn't have that. But what we do is we develop over time that internal voice of judgment where we say, if I fall, it means something. So you can ask yourself, what does it mean when you fail? To you, because to everybody it's different. To some of you, it might mean I'm a bad person. It might mean I'm dumb. It might mean my friends were right. I'm never going to amount to anything. It might mean my parents are going to be mad at me. There's a judgment there that we tell ourselves. It's not really true. It's not really true. But it's a judgment that we tell ourselves that stops us in our trap. We also want to know, was she trying? Was she stretching? Was she playing with something new? You're never going to have something different unless you do something different. You're not going to have what you want unless you try something new. Because everything you've tried has created what you have now. Everything you know has gotten you to where you are now. Every ability, every skill, every talent you have has gotten you where you are now. So if you want to be somewhere new, you've got to learn something new. You've got to learn a new skill. You've got to learn a new process. You've got to learn a new strategy. You have to learn new tools. You've got to try them out. You've got to play with them. You've got to figure out what's not working and what is working. And what is working. A winner is just a loser that tried one more time. The loser hits a roadblock and they stop. And they stop. Because this is what most people, some people do this. They're starting my business, I hit a roadblock. And they just stay here. I can't go forward, I can't move, I can't go forward. But the winner is going to try one more time, figure something out. That's what separates the winners and the losers. And you keep moving forward with that same sense of enthusiasm. Winston Churchill said, success is moving through failure after failure after failure without loss of enthusiasm. Have I failed? Yes, but it doesn't define me. You know, Mahatma Gandhi was kicked out of the first class train because of the color of his skin. He was a lawyer. He had a full suit on. He had a ticket. He bought his own first class ticket. He was kicked out of the train because of his skin, thrown into the ground where his suit got all dirty. He said, that moment can define me, or I can define that moment. And that's when he went on that crusade to free people from India. So does that word failure define you? Are you going to call yourself a failure, or are you going to say, okay, I failed, and this is what I'm going to learn. This is what I'm going to learn. Most people focus on overnight successes. They don't see the 20 years that it took to get an overnight success. And that's really what it takes. Most people are waiting for that overnight success. They try things once, twice, oh well, I did it. I tried. But they don't understand. They don't see all of that labor and that heartache that most successful people have experienced.